Yeah.
You want to like them, but you can't.
Are you listening?
What?
Are you listening?
Did you bring me on this show to insult me?
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Hey, y'all don't want it with us, man. We straight gangsters over here.
Straight
man.
gangsters. Yeah! Good morning and welcome back. You are listening to Scout Team Radio. We bring it to you hot and live each and every morning, Monday through Friday, right here on 12 Ounce Sports Radio. I am one of your gracious hosts. They call me Loudbeard.
You are the most egotistical, self-deluded person I have ever met.
I don't know who that chick is, but she sounds a lot like Chris America. Oh, wait, that's right. That's the other host.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, it is your boy Chris America coming to you live this Wednesday, this wacky Wednesday, September 11th, 2019, Loudbeard, and you can't say September 11th and not think of it, right?
Yeah, I was thinking that. You're like, oh, it's this wacky Wednesday. And I'm like, yeah, Wednesday. It's hump day. It's wacky Wednesday. Everything's all good.
Mm-hmm.
And then the date came out, right?
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden it's like a sobering date and lives in infamy, and it always will. So, yeah, it's tough, man. September 11th.
What's crazy about it is it's a moment in history that stays with you so much so that anytime I see any kind of footage from that day, I'm instantly brought back to that high school classroom and the emotions that I had when I see it. It's insane. And then the other weird part about it, not weird, it's just crazy to me, is I look at like my son, and I'm sure you do the same with your daughter, and they don't have that same connection. It's just like Pearl Harbor to us, like we respect it, we revere it, but we don't feel it like, those who were around in the 1940s.
No, absolutely. When you actually are there, as far as like placing yourself in a situation when it happened, you can get much more of an emotional connection to it. I think I was a freshman in college when that happened. I remember it happening in the morning, and then I went to class, but then like not everybody was there, and then they finally canceled it when I got there, and then everybody was kind of like, "What do we do? Like, what is going on? What's happening?" And just the crazy just flood of emotions that happened on this day. It's unbelievable. And you're right, like the kids, they're not going to understand if they weren't a part of it. Now, on a side note, my daughter, she's 11 now. When she was in preschool, 3 and 4 years old, the preschool that she went to actually showed on September 11th the videos of like what happened, and they showed like a documentary and talked about it. And I remember them having to like send stuff out to parents and saying like, you can opt your kids out of this. And some parents were upset that this was even an option, that they were going to show 3 and 4 year olds what happened. But to me, man, that's awesome. Like that's part of history. We're showing the youth of the world what happened in our American history, and that's a big part of it. So I always thought that was great. It's definitely progressive. I was surprised. I mean, I'm like, oh, my 4-year-old's going to watch the Twin Towers situation that happened and unfolded on September 11th. I'm like, that's crazy, but I think it's good that they're doing that. And I think sometimes we're afraid to admit what really happened in the world, and taking a small child and showing them that, I think it's important.
Yeah, I have mixed feelings about it because I think history should always be learned. But it's like, when do you teach your kids about each level of history? You know what I mean? Like, when are they ready? And I struggle with that sometimes with my son. Like, how much do I go into World War II? And like, yes, there was a war. Do I go deep down into the concentration camps? Like, is my son ready to hear about how millions of people were literally baked and starved to death? I don't know. It's hard, and I definitely agree with that. They sent out the form for each individual parent to decide on their own, though.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the right thing to do, but the fact that they were actually digging into it at that age.
Yeah.
I don't know. I liked it. I think that we do
Yeah.
need to start sometimes, and we I don't want to sugarcoat everything in life for our children, because then when they grow up, they're not really prepared for
Right.
some of the things that will happen in their lifetime. So, you do have to be a little sobering with the real facts, and September 11th is one of those sobering days.
Yeah. Yeah, like I said, to each parent their own, however they want to go about it. Anyways, hard day, hard conversation to have, and hard to transition out of,
Yeah, and I'm going to have to say it, the big story. We'll transition out of September 11th. We'll
Don't
move
go
on
straight
from there,
to AB. Don't go straight to AB.
we got to, man. It's the biggest
Let's
story.
like cushion it. Like I feel like I don't. Let's not go straight from. You know what? Let's just get it over with.
We got to just get it over with. I mean,
Yeah.
every day it's a new story
'Cause
with
it's another
Antonio
uncomfortable
Brown.
conversation.
So he gets accused of sexual assault, specifically rape from most of the stories that I'm reading, on 3 separate occasions with a former trainer. And it looks like a lot of these were taking place in 2017 and 2018.
Mhm.
I don't know. The timing is pretty suspect on all of this, but at the same time, you got to take any accusation seriously, and this is being filed with a court, so this is gonna go through the process, and I guess we're gonna find out as the details unravel through the legal process if this is substantiated. But I mean, from the issues that we've seen with Antonio Brown, I mean, I guess at this point, nothing would surprise me.
Yeah, and so you mentioned the process. The process is he was named in a lawsuit, and now he's obviously hired an attorney himself. That attorney has responded with a statement from Antonio Brown, or not from him, but statement regarding Antonio Brown. The lawyer issued a statement basically saying that, I'm going to summarize it. I don't want to read it verbatim because it's a long statement. But basically this accuser went up to Mr. Brown sometime in 2017 and asked for a $1.6 million investment. But I guess she was going to use the money to help pay off an IRS lien of $30,000 and buy her and her mom a house with $300,000. In any case, Mr. Brown denied that money, or didn't want to give her the money. And so they stopped talking for a while. Then she comes back. Again, this is all according to his attorney. Several times, traveled up to Pittsburgh. They had consensual relations with each other. Even at one point in the statement, it says they were in some form of a romantic relationship. It kind of like one of those off and on things, because I guess she lives down in Miami. He lived up in Pennsylvania. But it just makes several mentions of different dates and times when this accuser traveled a long distance from Miami to Pennsylvania. At one point, I guess it says from Tennessee to Pennsylvania at 2 o'clock in the morning to go to his residence. So, again, this is why I don't like this conversation so early, because you and I, we just don't know. I don't know who to believe, and it's honestly not my job to figure it out.
Yeah,
I don't want that to sound callous. It's more or less like I let the people whose job it is to defend and people whose job it is to prove the case, like that's their job. My job is just to talk sports, and I hate when people either on social media or in the media are like, well, she went to his house 3 times, so clearly he didn't do it. Well, that's not always the case either. Like, the sexual assault world of, like, it's so hard to understand why victims do what they do and how much power I don't know what to call them, the suspect,
the
assailant, there you go. How much power they have over the victim, and what that does to somebody's mind and their mentality and the trauma of it all, and how much power that person gains. It's not just so black and white where, oh, I raped you and now you're supposed to respond in this certain way. That doesn't happen all the time. And also, we know that being a high-level celebrity means you're targeted by people making false accusations as well. So I don't know. I have her statement, or I don't have her statement. I have her lawsuit, and I have his statement from his attorney. That's all I have, and I don't have anything else to say one way or the other, so I choose not to.
Yeah, and I think that's the right thing to do, and it is too early for us to jump to any kind of conclusion. And, you know, we trust the legal process. We trust that they're going to dig deep and get to the results. But, I mean, there's even been times where you get dragged through a lengthy legal process, and you still don't know what the real story is. There's always two sides, and the truth can be somewhere in the middle, but it could also be one way or the other. We don't know, and so we're not going to jump to any conclusions with Antonio Brown. But what we do know is that Antonio Brown has created this persona that he is not a good guy. He's done a lot of dumb things, nothing to this extent, but the timing of this lawsuit is perfect in the court of public opinion, because now everybody's just going to jump on Antonio Brown. Like, dude, you just killed the Raiders. You just, went through all of this drama. You're a diva. You're doing this. You're doing that. Oh, you're getting accused of something else. That you must have done it. And the timing, and I know it's not I know it's got to be intentional. The timing is so perfect, and I don't know, man. This is going to be an interesting story as it all unfolds.
Yeah, and you mentioned how it's perfect for people to jump on AB. You actually retweeted a Tampa Bay Buccaneer player whose Twitter handle is just at AB89, and that's a terrible coincidence for him, because he started posting messages he was getting, people telling him they hope he dies, that he's an effing loser, like who rapes women, and he just posted like 3 or 4 that I saw. I'm sure his inbox was littered so much to where I would have just deactivated my Twitter for a day or two.
Yeah.
It's crazy how much, one, that people don't pay attention to who they're messaging, and two, that they take their time to do so, that they feel like, I don't know, it's just weird to me that people do that. I guess they need it. I guess it's cathartic to them. Maybe they've been victims, and that's their way of like, okay, I can't lash out my anger at my assailant, so I'm going to lash it out on this one. And it just sucks that this guy, who all he does is has the same initials. I don't even know what player this is. Do you know who that? Because it doesn't have his name on the Twitter. It's just AB and then at AB89. And I couldn't tell. I don't know the Buccaneers roster enough to know who that is.
Yeah, I have no idea. I was thinking there's like a tight end, Anthony Becht, that could have been him. It could have, and I don't even know if he's still on the Bucs, but he was there a couple years ago. I'm just trying to think of guys with the AB initials. And you know what? This happens on Twitter, right? First of all, why are you sending these messages? Like, if Antonio Brown is sitting there getting all these messages, he's not going to read all of them. You think your personalized little DM to Antonio Brown, which you're sending to the wrong person anyway, you think that's going to get read and that you're going to change him or you're going to make a difference? Like, why are you doing that? Last season when the Chiefs ended up losing to the Patriots, and then D Ford was called for that offsides penalty, and there was that like English lady D Ford that was getting all the hate DMs from it and was like turning it around. Like, why do we do that? Why do we attack people? Like, now we've got social media as a weapon for us to attack athletes when they do something stupid. Like, come on. And then we figure out it's the wrong person. Like, this is the crazy world we live in. So, I mean, when there's like a comedian named Loudbeard that gets attacked for, or like does something really stupid, accused of, I don't want to get all the DMs for that. I mean, because I have a better name. These things happen.
Or even if it's just LB, something like that. I don't know. So I figured out it's Antonio Bryant. I guess he's no longer on the Buccaneers, though, but I guess he still has his claim to fame to being a Buccaneers wide receiver. So that's who that was. Yeah, it just sucks for all people around. Like, obviously, if this victim is what she's saying is true, I hope that he gets everything he deserves. And if it's not, I hope that the truth is able to come out and that he's able to clear his name. We know that in our court system, we put our trust in it, but sometimes that doesn't happen that way for one side or the other. So we just have to pray and hope that it does.
Yeah. I guess we should find something a little bit lighter to talk about. I mean, today has
Can
been
we turn to Wacky Wednesday now?
Oh, I don't know if I can switch it on that. Scooter and the Jizz. All right, so let's see. I don't know if I've got any Wacky Wednesday stories.
No, I don't either. I just felt like saying it just to kind of lighten the mood.
All right, let's talk about this new iPhone. How about that? This is a wacky
Okay.
Wednesday story. There you go.
People were going
So-
crazy about it.
Yeah, new iPhone's coming
People
out.
get
iPhone
wacky
11.
over those iPhones.
Seriously. So this is something that's a little crazy on the side note. So the new phone, there's an option to have 3 cameras, and it's got like 3 lenses on the back of the phone. Well, there's a phobia out there. It's called trypophobia, and this is getting a lot of traction right now. It's getting traction in the social media world. A lot of people are saying the new iPhone is really like starting to harness their trypophobia. It's really bringing it out in them, and it's somebody that has like, I guess they're uneasy or they get kind of anxious when they see a lot of like really tight patterns or really tight like a lot of like dots. So if you were to see a picture that just was a bunch of dots, like it kind of like makes you like weirded out a little bit, and that's what
Okay.
trypophobia is. And so now when the iPhone's got all of these lenses on the back of it, people are like, I don't think I like this because it's really intensifying my trypophobia. Now, I don't know if this is people sensationalizing things because it's the internet and that's what we do, but yeah, this is trending right now, Chris America. It's a thing.
Yeah, I have to assume it's definitely sensationalizing it because there's all kinds of different phobias out there, and I'm not discrediting them or making fun of them, but product makers can't make a product where it doesn't trigger where like everybody on the entire world is safe from their phobias on it. Like there's gonna be people who are gonna say like I have some sort of shiny phobia where I'm shiny things cause me anxiety, or I have dullaphobia where like all that matte paint and stuff just like really like gets out to me and stuff. It's just kind of like, okay, it really sucks that you have this trypophobia, but maybe work on that with your therapist or something. But we're gonna go ahead and roll through with this design. We're not changing it.
Yep. But the good news is when you have 3 cameras, you're able to do really exquisite pet portraits now.
Okay.
That's one of the selling points of the new iPhone.
I'm sure that's one of the ways people are going to be using it to accentuate their pets.
There's a specific pet portrait mode that you can select to help really just bring out the beauty in your pet. So this right now, this is why people are buying the iPhone. iPhone is sitting there, they're Apple, they're like, well, we got a new credit card that we came out with that I've seen commercials for like crazy. And then they're like, oh, we got our new phone, but you know what? People just love their pets so much. Let's capitalize on that market too. So if you're a pet lover, you really should be ashamed of yourself unless you own our new iPhone 11 or 13 or 28 or whatever it is, because it has the lens that creates the perfect pet portrait. And if you're a real pet lover and you love your pets, you need to buy this now. That's what iPhone's doing.
It's so funny that cell phone companies have turned into basically like politicians, right? Where people like really love them in an occultish way, or they really hate them and they don't know why. Like you have your Android side and your iPhone side, and it was funny to see people that I know that were like clamoring over this, like they were living for the up-to-date announcement on everything this new phone can do. And then you had other people who were just hating on it, like, oh, Apple's so lame. They still don't have this, which what my Android has, or oh, if Apple finally had added this feature. I've had that on my Android for like 10 years now. And it's just I find it entertaining to watch that people get this involved into their cell phones.
Yeah, I mean, it is. It's crazy that we've gotten to that point. It's crazy that we act like such weirdos when it comes to things that are so trivial, like what phone you have in your pocket. I mean, to me, it doesn't mean anything. And this is part of me becoming an old man. I would say 15 years ago, I'd be like, oh, cool, that looks like a neat toy. I want to get that. Now I'm like, my phone it's not broken. No need to get a new one. As long as my phone works, I don't care about the newest technology that comes out. And I'm an iPhone person. I wasn't always an iPhone person, but now I like it because I know how to use it, and it's just I don't even want to change. Like I've got the one that still has the home button. Like I didn't upgrade to the 10 and get the one without a home button. That's too much change for me. I'm old, man. I can't
I
can't
felt
adapt.
the same too. I felt the same too before I got the 10. It's
see,
so funny.
still...
What keeps you from buying a new phone is like a certain aspect of that phone that you're like, I can't live without this.
Yeah.
I really can't. Even though it took me like literally a day to get over it, I still felt the same way you did leading up to buying it.
Yeah, and I think mine's an 8, and I struggle still with the fact that it doesn't have a headphone jack. That bothers me.
Oh, that's the worst.
My
I
daughter,
still don't know why. Your daughter has lost like 15 of those adapter things.
Oh yeah, she does lose them all the time. But I was gonna say she's got the 6, I think, or the 7, and it's the one that still had the headphone jack. Well, hers is like the screen's broken, and we probably need to replace the phone, and she needs to upgrade. But
she like comes home with like cuts on her face. Like, did you get in a fight? No, just been talking on my phone.
Yep, pretty much. And she's actually kind of like an old man like me. She says, I don't want the one without the headphone jack. Like, she is dead set on having the headphone jack because she's on her phone so much that a lot of times she'll like listen to music or watch YouTube videos. Well, she wants to use her earbuds and charge it at the same time because she's on it so much she needs to do that. And so she can't do both at the same time unless we buy some fancy adapter, which, in my household, we lose adapters like crazy. And so this is just a bad thing. So Apple, I still think bring back the headphone jack. I hope this new one has a headphone jack. I bet it doesn't, but I hope it does.
It doesn't, but I hope it does. Oh, yeah, Loudbeard. Yeah, I got nothing else on that Apple thing. Yeah, there was that one thing where Apple kind of added to the division by letting you know if someone texting you has an Apple or an Android.
Oh, nice.
I always think
they're
that's
trying
funny.
to phone shame you.
They do. When I get those green text messages, I sometimes feel that I'm like, ugh, Android.
Ugh.
Even though I really don't care. I'm like, I don't care what that other person has. Like, if that's what they're operating on, then so be it.
Yep. Well, Chris America, we'll move on from you and your Android hating self. We're going to move on to other things. I guess I'll talk a little bit more about football because we did talk Antonio Brown, and he has moved on to the Patriots. The Patriots did their due diligence by moving some pieces around. They trade Demaryius Thomas to their rival, the New York Jets. I guess they're really not that worried about the Jets. So they're going to trade Demaryius Thomas because now they have this wealth of wide receivers. They've got Julian Edelman. They've got Philip Dorsett. They have now got Antonio Brown. They've got just such a wealth of wide receivers that they made room. Well, they still have one spot open. They've cleared an official roster spot that right now isn't being occupied. So when the news broke yesterday, Rob Gronkowski gets on Twitter, and he sees the story about Demaryius Thomas getting traded and that the Patriots were opening a roster spot, and he just did the look emoji, right? The 2 eyeballs staring out at the world. Oh, man, Twitter, especially New England Patriot Twitter, almost broke because now all of a sudden we're on Rob Gronkowski coming out of retirement to play with Antonio Brown and Tom Brady again. Watch. That's what we're officially on right now because we are making speculations because of one tweet with 2 eyeballs that Robert Gronkowski is wanting to come back.
And part of me thinks he just does it on purpose because it's hilarious. And I would do the same thing. If I knew I could hold the sports world in my hands by a simple emoji, I'd be messing with the sports world all the time.
And he
just
probably
for my own sheer personal enjoyment.
I actually like it too. I want to say he's one of those guys that's probably just like, I'm done. I'm good. I'm out. But he's going to tease it as much as he possibly can just because he knows that everything he does, it's going to get looked under a magnifying glass, under a microscope. It's going to get looked under everything. And he's just going to toy with our emotions. And not like I care. I'm not a Patriots fan. But I'm sure Patriots fans are like, if we could get Antonio Brown and bring Rob Gronkowski back, championship. 100%. Guaranteed.
Yeah. I just don't know if he has the juice anymore. You could tell like he was hurting quite some bit when he played and just wasn't moving as fluidly, and he just didn't really show up in big games. And I don't think the Patriots need him. I really don't.
Yeah, and honestly, if he did come back, I think it would be just situational, like, red zone type guy. you're not going to put him out there for 60 to 70 snaps.
No.
You're going to have him out there maybe 10 or 15 snaps just in the red zone, big target. And if anything, he'd be a decoy. He draws some double coverage as he's kind of hanging out in the end zone, freeing up other guys to be able to get open. So, I mean, they can make it work, but he's not the same Rob Gronkowski we had 3 or 4 years ago. The guy's just been beat up. He's had so many injuries. He was so big, and he was such a big target. And, I mean, he just isn't that same guy. But he could at least help a little bit. But you're right. Patriots probably don't even need that much help.
And another thing that jumped out at me of this story, Demaryius Thomas, as a receiver, fallen that far to where I didn't even know he was still in the league, or it was just a guy I completely forgot about. And 5 years ago, he was one of the top targets, or the top target for Peyton Manning in that Broncos offense.
Yeah, he really has fallen off. This happens from time to time, and we don't realize it. Each year you get flooded with new talent coming in from college football, and sometimes it's that quarterback-wide receiver relationship. Now, Demaryius Thomas had a couple different quarterbacks, but when Peyton Manning was there, Peyton Manning is the type of quarterback that made any wide receiver look better. That was one of his MOs. Every wide receiver that ever played on the Colts looked like a Hall of Famer because Peyton Manning always made his wide receivers look better because he knew how to put them in the right place to be successful. And that's what Demaryius Thomas got. And once Peyton Manning was gone, or once his arm was gone, really, you bring in guys like Brock Osweiler and Paxton Lynch and Case Keenum and the whole litany of Broncos quarterbacks. Those aren't the guys that make you look good. And guess what? You disappear and you become nothing. And this offseason, the Patriots took a chance on Demaryius Thomas. And you know what? He's not better than 3 or 4 other receivers they have on the team, and he became expendable. So a team like the Jets is just hoping to get a little bit out of him, but you're right. This is a guy that has completely disappeared and fallen pretty far from grace.
Yeah, it was fun. I just see the new, Patriots trade Demaryius Thomas, and I was like, wait, the guy that took that touchdown pass for 80 yards from Tim Tebow, 9 years ago, that guy, I completely forgot about him. Didn't have no clue that he was on the New England Patriots.
Yeah, and that he was the guy that was drafted with the other pick in the first round when the Broncos took Tim Tebow, by the way. Those guys will be always known in infamy as being the two that got taken together. Tim Tebow and Demaryius Thomas. That was a great draft by Josh McDaniels. And now look who's the head honcho of the offense of the Patriots. Josh McDaniels. This guy's good.
You know what else you and I had? What's that?
Oh, go ahead.
No. I was going to segue, so you had something to continue.
No. I was just going to ramble on. That's what I did.
Oh, okay. Well, something that we didn't have a clue about either, Loudbeard. The Hong Kong Stock Exchange is attempting to buy the London Stock Exchange. You didn't even know they could do that, did you?
What?
Yeah.
I don't even know what that means.
It's trending on Twitter. I saw it trending on Twitter.
Unbelievable.
It was unbelievable. Now, Loudbeard, if you were to make an offer for the London Stock Exchange, how much do you think it would go for? Price is right. Go.
$7.3 billion.
Wow, you think it's only $3 billion more than an NFL football team?
Okay. I mean, that sounded like a lot of money to me, but I guess when you put it that way.
Yeah. We're talking about a full-on country stock exchange.
I think I said trillion.
Oh, yeah, trillion.
7.3. Yeah.
They offered around $29.6 billion, which I still felt like was low, but it's in pounds. I don't know if 29 billion pounds is more money than in U.S. dollars. I don't know the exchange rate there, but yeah, apparently I didn't even know these were. I thought this was just like a government. This shows how little I know in finance. You're more of the financial guy than I did, but apparently the London Stock Exchange is an actual company. Is the New York Stock Exchange an actual company too?
I'm not a stock guy, so I have no idea. And I'm not even going to pretend to know what I'm talking about when it comes to the New York Stock Exchange. But yeah, I would assume it probably is a company, but it's probably heavily regulated federally. So, just
Well,
because
I
it's a
just-
company doesn't mean that it doesn't have to follow the governing laws of the government.
I just wanted to break the news because, that's what we do here. We're newsbreakers. And so for our listeners who do know what that means and if it has any sort of translation into your stocks, take notice because the Hong Kong Stock Exchange is attempting to buy the London Stock Exchange.
All right. Well, on that note, I think it's time for a quick commercial break. On the other side, I will tell you about a famous athlete who is just inches away from a new record, but may never be able to hit it. Hey, Kawhi, what are you laughing at, man? This isn't funny. Fantasy sports reimagined. FanDuel, that's what I'm talking about. It is more than just fantasy sports. It's the best way to watch the games, win real cash, and bring the action right to your living room. Just choose a contest, make your picks, watch, and win. And if you go to FanDuel.com/STR today, you can get a $5 deposit bonus. Once again, that's FanDuel.com/STR. Come on, man. This is not a laughing matter. If you've been listening to Scout Team Radio for a long time, you know that myself, Loudbeard, has placed a bet or two in his day. That's right, I've lost the beard bet, I lost the romper bet, but one place I don't like losing is when I bet money, and I can easily do that at MyBookie. That's right, you can go to mybookie.ag, use promo code 12OZSports, and get a 100% deposit bonus up to $1,000. Hey, guess what? That is a lot of money. Do it.
When I'm working hard, I build up a thirst for sports. That's when I grab a cold 12-ounce sports radio. Ah, 12-ounce sports radio. Quench your sports thirst.
Hey everybody, it's your favorite Patriot, Chris America, and I want you to listen every single weekday, Monday through Friday, 6 a.m. to 7 a.m., and on replays from 11 a.m. to noon of Scout Team Sports. Listen, George Washington did not cross over the ocean blue in 1492 to defeat the Nazis, so you can listen to the same tired national clickbait sports stories. So once again, tune in to us every single morning, 6 a.m. to 7 a.m., and then we replay from 11 to noon. I will see you there, and God bless America.
Welcome back. Thank you all for listening in. We absolutely appreciate it. Once again, we're Scout Team Radio. He is Chris America. I'm Loudbeard. We bring it to you hot and live each and every morning, Monday through Friday, 6 a.m., right here on 12-Ounce Sports Radio, and that is Eastern Time, 6 a.m. Eastern Time. If you can't catch us live each and every morning, you can also download that podcast. Make sure you hit it up on Apple Podcasts, Spotify Podcasts, anywhere you find your podcast. You can find us. Just search Scout Team Radio. You'll get the daily show on demand at your fingertips. I highly, highly recommend you do so. Also, if you want to get interactive, hit us up on Twitter at Scout Team Radio. Make sure you tweet in your thoughts, your ideas, your plans. We'll talk about anything. We really will. We have no limits. We'll go beyond whatever limits we have, and we just really don't even
That's
have
right.
any limits.
Mhm.
We'll talk about anything.
Whether we know what we're talking about or not. And I forgot to
Right.
mention, Loudbeard, that financial talk with Chris America was brought to you by Barnett Bank. Get your Barnett banking account today.
There you go. Chris America bringing the hotness. You now know about the Hong Kong Stock Exchange and the London Stock Exchange. You know about it all because of Chris America. And I think that's good stuff. So I wanted to bring this up because I thought it was a big story, but it got overshadowed this weekend buy all of the football talk. And, now that we're at Wednesday, I think we've talked enough football. I could talk about something else other than football. But I want to bring up our girl Serena. So Serena Williams, she's getting a little up there in age. She's at age 37, which is older for the tennis world. It's not older in real life because it's around what age I am, and so I can't say that that's old. I think that's very young. She's very good, young, and she's doing great. But in the tennis world, it's a little bit older than the norm. A lot of 19-year-olds and 24-year-olds out there. So as a 37-year-old, she's got to keep up. And she had her child back in 2017, and it was some complications with the pregnancy, and a lot of people didn't know if she would ever return to form. Well, she's come out, and she's proven that she can return to form, but she can't get over that hump. She is one Grand Slam victory away from a 24th record-tying Grand Slam, and that would be a momentous feat. She would tie Margaret Court, but this is the problem we've run into with Serena. Over the weekend, she loses another Grand Slam final. So since she's returned, the 2018 Wimbledon, she was the runner-up. The 2018 U.S. Open, runner-up. 2019 Wimbledon, runner-up. 2019 U.S. Open, runner-up. Always a bridesmaid, never a bride. What's going on? Can Serena Williams, at the ripe old age of 37, will she ever win another Grand Slam, Chris America?
Well, I don't want to say never because we thought Tiger Woods would never win another major, and he did at 44 after all of his back issues. So I think she has it in her. I think she's going to get it. It's just like you said, man, these younger athletes are coming up. I know, like, I've gone into races. Like, I used to run cross country in high school, Loudbeard, and I wasn't the fastest on my team by far. I mean, there were guys that were much faster than me, but I ran a 17-minute 5K once, and that's very respectable. Right now I'm struggling to make 22, and I've been in races where these young kids just fly by me, and I'm like, if I could only have their youth and, everything, whatever it is that they have that I no longer have, that kind of deal. So it's tough when you get up in age to be competing against these younger athletes, man.
No, I mean, I completely understand. I mean, you were talking about having just like a little back pulled muscle the other day. I mean, everything you do when you get up in age, you feel it. You feel it a lot different than when you're 22, 23 years old. And there's always these young guns coming coming for you, and they bring their A game because it's the great Serena Williams. When they're playing and they're going up against Serena Williams, this is like the pinnacle of their career. They're like, oh my gosh, I've got to put my best foot forward, and Serena always gets the best. And she's lost to some really talented tennis players, and she's right now on that Tiger Woods watch where we're like, okay, is she going to win another final? And she's been to all of these finals, and she's still ranked, I think, 10th in the world in the world of tennis. I mean, she's still got the juice. It's just getting over that last hump. I mean, I don't know if she's going to do it or not. I can't predict the future. I don't have a crystal ball, but yeah, the age thing, it's going to eventually catch up unless she's like doing the TB12 method.
Yeah. You mentioned how she missed it by inches in your tease for the commercial break. I hate to do it, Loudbeard, but I got to bring more solemn news, more upsetting news. Something that happened last night. If this ball would have gone inches one way or the other, Christian Yelich would probably still be playing baseball this season. But last night, he hits the ball, and it's one of those typical, the batter hits the ball and it hits them in the leg, Loudbeard. We've seen it a million times if you've watched baseball for 36 years, right?
Yep.
And they usually, they gimp around, they shake it off, they throw some dirt on it, and they're good because most of the time it just hits a bone or it just hits a meaty part of their leg, and it's just a stinger. This time, unfortunately, I retweeted the video, or somebody who posted the video of it. You can check it out at Scout Team Radio on Twitter, at Scout Team Radio. It hits straight on his kneecap, and it breaks his kneecap, and he will be out at least for the rest of the season. I don't know the prognosis for next season since baseball offseason is not as long as other sport off seasons. But you hate to see that because he's an MVP candidate, one of the most exciting players to watch come playoff time. Miller Lite fans. I'm sitting here looking at Miller Park. Brewer fans, they love the guy. He's brought Milwaukee out from being that ho-hum sub 500 team to being they've really been a consistent contender for their division in the playoffs year in and year out now with this guy on their team. And it sucks to see an athlete like that go down. I mean, it's so routine seeing it that literally nobody pays attention to him until maybe 5 seconds because he's just sitting on his rump, not really getting up, just kind of upset. Like the pitcher goes about his routine, the catcher and umpire are handing each other a ball to throw back to the pitcher. And it's really not until 5 seconds after it goes off his knee that somebody's like, oh, crap, something's more serious here.
Yeah, and this is a tough loss. Not only is it an MVP caliber player, it's the timing too. Right now, you are just
right
now
before the playoffs.
getting right for the playoffs. Right now, the Brewers are sitting one game out of the wild card hunt. The Cubs are one game ahead of them for that final wild card spot in the NL. And you're sitting there thinking, okay, the Brewers have a shot at this. Last year, they got really hot and squeaked in because of Yelich's play. This season, they need him to be able to make the playoffs. And this is a tough loss. This is
Loudbeard.
This is not good.
Mike Verlon, always coming up with better takes than we do on our show. We appreciate him co-hosting from Twitter. The one person happy about Yelich, Roxanne. Is this a Roxanne curse? Did Roxanne put a curse on Yelich?
I bet she did. Roxanne's not happy about anything.
Or is this like the Lord's way of punishing, Yelich for being in the body issue?
There's so many different scenarios that could play out, but none of them result in anything different than Roxanne being excited about this.
Yeah, that bee. I can't stand her.
I hate that. I hate that, Roxanne, man. And, you hate to see a guy at the top of his game going out on injury like this. So this is a tough loss for the Brewers. But we're getting heated up on some Major League Baseball playoff talk. So I'm going to throw you just segued me to some other talk. Why?
Now Roxanne is cursing our connection.
Yeah. Dodgers, they clinched 7th straight NL West title. So Dodgers are in. They're doing their business. The Yankees officially knock off the Red Sox as the top in the AL East. So the Red Sox are 18 and a half behind the Yankees with only 18 games to play or 17 games to play. I can't remember exact number here, but yeah, so no more Red Sox at the top, and it doesn't look like the Red Sox are going to make the playoffs this year, so big year for the Yankees.
Loudbeard, you know who this Dodgers team reminds me of? Not this specific team, but this. You mentioned 7 years in a row they're winning the division.
Don't say the Patriots.
No. Does this not make you feel like the Atlanta Braves in the 90s? Where they were just winning all the time, and they could never win the World Series. I mean, they did eventually, 94 or 95? I believe it was 95 since the 94 season was sprung. But this Dodgers team has always been the best, if not one of the best teams going into the playoffs, and they just can't seem to get over the hump, kind of like that Atlanta Braves did when they just went every single year. They were just winning their division easily. They looked so good, and then come playoff time, they couldn't put it together.
Oh, yeah. And they've been blessed with some very good talent. I mean, they've had Kershaw over the years, and then Ryu this year is just lights out, and their pitching's been outstanding. Their batting, I mean, they've had just bringing in young talent after young talent. Bellinger's a big name right now, and in previous years, Matt Kemp was like an MVP candidate 6-7 years ago. And, you go through this, and the Dodgers just kept retooling, and they pay the money for the players they need, and they're doing a good job of running a great franchise. But you're absolutely right. It is very reminiscent of that Atlanta Braves teams, of those Atlanta Braves teams. And I mean, I don't know what else to say. I recall those Braves teams being some of the best and most interesting teams to watch, with the best pitchers in all of Major League Baseball, with the Greg Maddux and John Smoltz and Steve Avery, and it was just such a exciting team to watch. I don't know how else to say it. Tom Glavine, I mean, that's what the Dodgers are nowadays. You're right.
Did you even say Chipper Jones?
Well, I was just naming pitchers, but yeah,
okay,
Chipper
sorry.
Jones, he was pretty good, Well, then if we're going to go in the field, we're going Chipper Jones. I got to go
Deion Sanders.
McGriff, the crime dog, Deion Sanders. Yeah, we got to go all over the place. And we're reminiscing here, guys. Hold on. It is totally 90s talk here at Scout
go
Team
to the-
Radio.
hey,
Wacky
it's,
Wednesday.
it's not Thursday. I thought time travel Thursday, but no, it's a Wednesday. Way back Wednesday.
Throwback Wednesday? No, yeah, way
Way
back.
back. Go in the Wayback Machine.
Way back. Get back. I'm a way back guy.
But you know why these Dodgers haven't been able to win a World Series yet, Loudbeard?
Because they're not wearing an expensive watch.
No, not because of that. It's just every single year that they're good, there's always one other team that's just a little bit better. Whether it's the Cubs, whether it's the Houston Astros, or the Red Sox. Now, it might be the Houston Astros again. You realize they've scored 36 runs in their last 2 games? These Houston Astros are coming in super red hot into these playoffs, and I think we're going to be in for another great battle. I hate to say it, between the Yankees and the Astros like we did 2 years ago when the Astros won the World Series.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of excitement around this Major League Baseball playoff season that's coming up. And you mentioned the Astros and you mentioned the Yankees. The Braves are playing pretty good right now. You talk about the 90s Braves. This year's Braves, I talked trash about them at the beginning of the year, but they've been impressive. So we've got some teams that are coming into this playoff season that are red hot, and none as hot as the Astros, like you mentioned. I mean, the Astros are just hitting lights out right now, and they're coming into their own, and we know that Astros team has the talent. It's most of the same players from that World Series team, but they've actually added additional players and gotten even better. So we might even see more explosions out of this Astros team than we did 2 years ago when they won the World Series.
Yeah, I'm now that we're talking baseball talk and it's getting close to October, this is when I do get excited about baseball. Our Rays are in it. They've been having a solid season, not able to keep up with the Yankees, but they're pitching. They seem to always just have great pitching. I don't know who their scouts are or what, but somehow the Rays managed to end up with great pitching.
And it's not like the same guys year in and year out. It's
No.
always
They gotta go out and get new guys because they can't keep the older guys. The old guys move on to other teams with bigger contracts that can pay them, and then we just go out and find more. It's like, okay, we lost David Price. All right, well, we'll just go get Matt Garza. All right, we lost Matt Garza. Okay, let's go get Chris Archer. It's just a revolving door of just great pitchers.
Yeah, and there's always guys that come up through the woodwork, and you're like, wow, where'd this guy come from? Oh, that's right. When we traded away Matt Garza or when we traded away Chris Archer, we brought in 3 or 4 prospects. And out of those 3 or 4 prospects, 1 or 2 of them ended up panning out and being this next. So they're always just retooling. They're smart. They get value out of guys. They don't let guys run out of their contract. They say, you got a year or 2 left on your contract. We're going to go ahead and trade you because when it's up, you're going to want big money. So we're going to get something in return, and we're not getting another player. We're getting prospects. And all they do is just keep filling that farm system up, and the Rays do it the right way. I mean, they're one of those teams that never has a big budget but always seems to be competitive.
I almost want to become an investor so I could buy the Rays and just pump a whole bunch of money into them and watch them turn into one of the greatest teams of all time. Because if they had the money with that farm system and that scouting system that they have in place, oh my gosh, the sky's the limit.
Well, think about this also. I mean, people in Montreal love winners. So once they go up to Montreal,
Don't start this again. Don't do this to me, Loudbeard. Don't do this to me.
Would you like me to stop? I can stop.
Yeah. We don't need to know.
Oh, snap. I got a tweet coming in here on the Scout Team Radio. He says, Scott Kaiser says, wait, Braves talk? I'm here. What'd I miss? Well, we talked about the great 90s Braves, and then I also mentioned about how the Braves are having a fantastic season this year. Don't count them out. Yes, the Dodgers are good. Yes, the Yankees are good. Yes, the Astros are good. But the Atlanta Braves are a sneaky good team. Watch out for them to make some noise in the postseason here coming up. That was for Scott Kaiser.
Yeah, now that Yelich is out, I mean that hurts the Brewers' chances in the NL. So Braves could take advantage of that. You hate to say that, but it's part of sports. You got to take advantage of when one of their top guys is out.
You're right. That's what it's about. Utilizing the advantage. You got to kick them when they're down. Kick them in the throat. Kick them in the nuts. Kick them anywhere you can. This
sounds like a country song.
And drink a beer. Now it's a country song.
Now it's a country song. And get your dog back.
Yeah.
We did miss this tweet. We did miss this tweet earlier, Loudbeard. Memphis Spence, he is a financial connoisseur. He loves to invest his money. He says, not going to lie, I finally tuned into Scout Team and learned some financial news I did not know. See, that's what we do here, Loudbeard. We're breaking news. Whether it's financial news or sports news, I'm going to break it to you.
Yeah, we break news and we break balls.
Just like, do you know anything about this? Yesterday, a coworker of mine, he's 70 years old. He's like, you're into the whole
I don't know him.
Pop culture world. He says, do you think Kim Kardashian has a terminal illness? And I had no clue what he was talking about, so I just said yes.
Oh, no. Why did you do this September 11th, and now you're telling me about Kim?
But I haven't seen any. I don't even think he knows what he's talking about, because that would be trending hard on Twitter if she had a terminal illness.
Yeah, I would think so also. I don't know anything about Kim Kardashian. So Scott Kaiser, he's got a memory like an elephant. I hear elephants are very memorable about what things they remember. And he says, remember when the Phillies were going to win the division or the Nationals? I do. Pepperidge Farms remembers Scout Team Radio. No, I don't remember any of that. My memory has been wiped. This has been I don't even know what he's talking about. I mean, the Phillies are disappointing.
Yeah.
Well, the Nationals are disappointing.
I did send a tweet to Mike Verlon about him saying Scotty Kaiser needs to be listening. And I won't read it because it's not family friendly. But it does remind me of another Twitter trending thing going on. When you think of moisty palms, what do you think of, Loudbeard?
Really? You want me?
Do you think of Fortnite?
Yes, that's that's exactly what I think about. Yes, that's it. Fortnite. That was the first thing that came to mind.
Yeah, that's a new update of the map. It's a new area, I guess, in the Fortnite map called Moisty Palms. I guess it's a hide and seek zone where you can turn into a trash can or a park bench or something. I guess you could hide and sneak up on people. This Fortnite thing, is your daughter into it or no?
No, not like crazy into it. She's played it a few times. She likes it, but she also has the attention span of a typical 11-year-old, and she's already moved on to bigger and better things.
Well,
she's a TikToker.
I gotta say, I think this is the brilliance of Fortnite. Is I grew up, at least I didn't really grow up. I was actually a early adult, like in my 20s when Call of Duty became a huge thing. But I mean, we grew up on what was it called? I was gonna say Dark Knight 007, that
Super
kind of
Mario
first-person
Brothers.
shooter game and stuff. And you had those like same 5 maps, and you're stuck with them until the next game comes out. Fortnite has done a great job of just constantly updating the game and making it feel new and fresh for its users. And I can see why kids love it. They are always on top of things, making things different and unique. I know when the Avengers came out, they had the Golden Gauntlet that you can become a part of for a little while. It's a really cool concept, and I get why kids are addicted. I would have definitely been addicted to it had I been 10 years old when this came out.
What I took from that whole bit you just said there is that you didn't grow up. You were actually assembled in a lab. They took bits and pieces and created you, and you started life in your mid-20s. That's what I gathered from that whole conversation. So you did not grow up, and you were assembled in a lab, and it's very impressive. You're very lifelike.
Very much so. Yet I can't remember names.
Yep.
I'm downloading that update soon.
Okay. Last bit of news I have here. Monopoly's got a new game coming out.
Is it called Monopoly Spider-Man or Monopoly Sony Spider-Man?
No, it's I don't know what the name is, but it's a Monopoly based off of female trailblazers. So instead of buying houses, you actually invest in inventions that were invented by women.
Okay, that's cool. I'm not a fan of Monopoly anymore. It just takes too long.
Like, I think I like Monopoly until I start playing it.
Yeah.
And then I realize, just like all good things, when I start playing it, it needs to come to an end, and it needs to come to an end quickly. Kind of like this show.
Just the show. Great show, man.
Good times, my friend.
Tomorrow, Loudbeard, I'm going to come at you with a new segment called Are They That Good? Or Is This Team That Bad? Stay tuned.